Apple stock hitting new highs. The company released another beta version of ChatGPT on the iPhone. Apple says a wide release is coming by the end of the year. Joining us now, Toni Sacconaghi, Bernstein, senior research analyst. He named Apple a best idea. 3.7 trillion. 3.7 trillion. I think it's the most valuable company in the world now. Again, Tony.
Good morning, Joe. Apple's a phenomenal company. I think it's evolved from being a hardware player to a company that has an installed base of 1 billion unique users, 2.3 billion devices, and it's leveraging that installed base. And the next step in its evolution is bringing artificial intelligence to the masses through Apple Intelligence and through integration with large language models like ChatGPT. So it's a formidable company, and impressively, it's evolved to be something more than really just a purveyor of hardware products.
So this is the most recent move higher is due to what you're just talking about, ChatGPT, and rolling out another version?
I think it's difficult to know exactly why the stock has done so well over the last month. We do have a release candidate for iOS 18.2. It's still not the final version. We should get it this week or next week. It's not game-changing yet, but I think investors see a path where Siri will get better over time, Apple Intelligence will get better over time, and that will be how people use AI in their everyday lives, is through the access point of the iPhone or through the access point of their Macs or iPads. I think there are a lot of different factors that work near term. There's some mixed sentiment about the market. There's concerns about, some questions about broader AI and sustainability of growth and infrastructure. I think there are questions around tariffs. There are questions around Google and antitrust. And many investors believe that Apple's sort of this safe haven, and they can look out over the next year or two and see a pathway for Apple. So it may be more the latter than simply this version 18.2.
Apple, again, or at least now, topping the list of the best managed companies, according to Wall Street Journal, of 2024. And where I'm going with this is it's been reported that quietly but very successfully, Tim Cook has developed a close relationship with President-elect Donald Trump. You mentioned two things. You mentioned tariffs and antitrust as being in the future for a lot of tech companies. And you would have to think that having a relationship with the president-elect on both those areas probably is a positive for Apple. So that's good management there.
Yes. And, again, kudos to Tim Cook. I think he's managed to maintain a generally friendly relationship with China. And obviously, China is super important to Apple. 90% of its production is there. 20% of its sales are to the Chinese consumer. And then I think likewise, Apple has successful navigated political challenges. 8 years ago, when there were talks of tariffs, smartphones were supposed to be tariffed 10%. And Apple was able to effectively work with the administration to not have that tariff put in place. And so I think that's a testament to Tim Cook's diplomacy capabilities. And I do think that potentially serves Apple well. Now, there are lots of questions about tariffs. Clearly, Apple's exposed. But I think, Apple is an iconic American company, and the current administration, does want to promote American businesses. And so I think Apple does have some legs to stand on that. Hey, if you tariff us as an American company, you actually may create advantages for, Samsung, a Korean company. And so I do think that Apple has and likely will continue to underscore the importance of the company and the fact that it is an American company with a lot of jobs in the United States.
The new phones, so they had some AI, but we were told don't expect much. The stock has still continued to hit new highs, even though it was kind of a bridge to where it really becomes an important feature for the phones. Are we almost there now?
I don't know if we're almost there. I think, but I think investors see a path, and so I think the bull case for next year going forward is, Apple's expected to do about $7.50 this year, fiscal 25, which they're now in. Fiscal 26, which starts in the fall of next year. I think Apple could have a very strong iPhone cycle. You will have better AI capabilities. You will have a thinner iPhone that will be available, and typically form factor changes help iPhone sales. And you'll have an older installed base. And so I think you could have a very strong cycle in fiscal 26.
$9?
Well, I think, yes. I think $9 is not an unrealistic number. And Apple, typically peaks out at around 32 times earnings. It's actually a little more than that. That'd be a $290 stock. So do you run out and buy it today at $247? I'm not so sure. Maybe you'll get a pullback. This iPhone cycle won't be great. Maybe there'll be some uncertainty about either the product rollout or about some of the other issues we talked about. But I think if you look forward over the next year, it's one can make that case, and the numbers could support a materially higher stock price.